And as you know, Mr. President, we're working on a sense of the Senate here today, and I'm rising to speak about my own sense of the Senate. And it's an amendment that I filed to this bill that we're on. It expresses a key common sense idea. It's very simple. Don't raise taxes on small businesses, period. But especially don't do it at a time when unemployment is over 9% and there's meager job growth throughout the country and quite frankly is stalled out. We can't afford more of the failed economic policies that we've been experiencing. And frankly, I can't believe that increasing the tax burdens on small businesses, even when it's on the radar screen here in Washington, it just makes no sense to me. I want to do the opposite. I think we should respond to these terrible unemployment numbers with a pro-growth idea like a payroll tax reduction for businesses to hire workers. Let's do something constructive to add an incentive to actually get our economic engine moving again, especially with the businesses that can do it best, which are small businesses. The idea that we would raise taxes right now on small businesses is the very definition of being out of touch with people back home who actually work for a living in this country and create jobs for others. As I travel back to Massachusetts, and I virtually do every weekend, I meet with, gosh, I think I've had over 230 or 40 meetings since I've been elected, and the biggest question I'm always faced with is, what's going on in Washington? Why do you guys always put that wet blanket over us through overregulation, over taxation, that lack of business certainty and stability? And it's not something that really is making a lot of sense back home. And when I hear from those small business people back in Massachusetts, they're worried that they can't hire more workers. And we need to actually create confidence in our small businesses to put people back to work. And instead, we're terrifying them with these tax proposals and a lot of the rhetoric you're hearing here today. They don't know what's coming down next. They don't know what's next. People up here listening, they have no clue what's next. What are we going to do in Washington next to put that wet blanket over businesses? And we expect them to make a new commitment to hire an employee? It's not going to happen. In particular, recent calls from some on the other side of the aisle to repeal the LIFO, the last in, first out accounting method, and applying it retroactively without even reducing the corporate tax rate or doing anything whatsoever to soften the blow on small businesses would be disastrous on those who depend on the current system. And as you know, our corporate tax rate is already the second highest in the country. And if Japan lowers theirs, it'll be the highest. And it's often the small local companies that get punished the most. Yet some people here in Washington want to tax small businesses more. I don't get it. I'm sorry. And despite these many challenges in the past decade, this country has seen the creation of more than 300,000 small business companies with 500 employees or less. And these small firms and the founders who started them took risk during a time that many large companies have been downsizing. And as a member of the Small Business Committee, I hear testimony regularly from many of our business leaders expressing the difficulties of the current environment. I believe we absolutely need to do everything in our power to protect small businesses from the heavy hand of government, the over-regulation, the lack of certainty and stability, the potential over-taxation. And we have in Massachusetts and throughout this great country, small businesses and especially manufacturers are the keys to our economic recovery and the economic engine here in Massachusetts. And in Massachusetts and the rest of the country, they're the lifeblood of our economy, ranging from mom-and-pop stores to some of the country's most cutting-edge, high-tech startup companies. So how can we tax these job-creating small businesses and then stand on the Senate floor and speak about how awful it is that unemployment is an all-time high, while cloaking it in the language of rhetoric of millionaires and billionaires and corporate jets? We all know that even if we do the things that are talked about, it doesn't get us close to solving or dealing with the problems. It's outrageous, and quite frankly, the American people can see right through it. We should be doing better. So I filed the amendment today to say that I, for one, will not support more burdens on small businesses. They already face enough problems and challenges. The current unemployment numbers that we're all seeing from states across the country should serve as a wake-up call that people are still hurting. They need some relief. They want to do their best, but they're being stifled. That wet blanket is just hurting them and stopping them from creating jobs. It should be our #1 priority, Mr. President, and I hope it will get the attention and support of every one of my colleagues. If you care about the survival of your state's small businesses, stop proposing increasing the taxes, increasing regulatory burdens, creating that wet blanket, and killing off the incentive to actually go out and hire. So, Mr. President, I thank you for your courtesy in the beginning, and I yield the floor.
Under the previous order, the